Hello everybody, Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty. How are you? Going to do a quick Facebook Live. We talked last week about putting your house on the market and getting your house ready to put on the market, and some quick, inexpensive, common sense things that you can do to get your house ready to put on the market. Don't cost a lot of money, but that would make your house feel more open and welcoming to as many different types of people as possible. So we talked about that last week. Let's talk about open houses this week. Of course, I'd be getting a phone call as soon as we start this. So let's talk about open houses and the pros and the cons and the good and the bad and the ugly about open houses. Before we get started, click notifications, follow me, like this video, and leave a comment. So let's talk about open houses. So you're going to put your house on the market. Now, in this crazy market, it's possible your house is going to sell fast. It might not. Not everything is 100%. There are some houses that are going to sell slower than that for a variety of reasons. It could be the price range that it's in. It could be the area that it's in. Maybe it's the condition that it's in. Maybe there's a deficiency about the house. Price, area, condition. Those are the three major factors as to whether or not a house is going to sell or not. So maybe there's a little challenge with one of those, and your house doesn't sell in the first couple of hours or a few days or even a few weeks. So you need to check and see what your realtor is going to be doing to market it. They should be marketing it. I personally do what I call target marketing. And we can talk about this, but it's basically, what are the main benefits and the main features of your house? How would a buyer benefit by owning your house as far as the location and that kind of thing? And then I will market people that are interested in those kinds of things. For instance, your house is close to a golf course. I can go find golfers. Your house is on close to a lake. I can go find people that own boats. That kind of thing. So features or areas that complement your house, I could go find buyers that would be interested in those things, that therefore would be interested in your house. But anyway, I digress. The main point of this video is open houses. So your house hasn't sold yet. Your realtor's doing some advertising for you, hopefully. Hopefully they didn't just stick a sign in your yard and cross their fingers. That's the marketing plan for most realtors, sticking a sign in your yard and crossing their fingers. Okay, they need to do more than that. One of the things that they could do would be open houses. So let's talk about open houses. So first of all, if you're going to have an open house, your realtor needs to advertise it. And, back in the old days, it would be advertising in the Dallas Morning News, which is completely ridiculous because you would get buried among literally thousands of other ads. Nobody would ever see it. But now we get to advertise it on social media. Social media being Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Those would be the common things. I know TikTok, but TikTok is typically for kids, and typically kids don't have $500,000. So anyway, have it advertised on social media. Also on the MLS itself, you can put that you're having an open house, and then the MLS will actually have a little green line underneath your listing showing that you're having a public open house at such and such a day and time, and that it's open to the public. So it needs to be properly advertised, and advertise several days ahead of time, and advertise really more than once. So maybe if you're going to have it on Sunday, and we'll talk about that, by the way, but if you're going to have it on a Sunday, then advertise it maybe on a Tuesday, and then maybe advertise it again on a Friday, just to remind everybody. So here comes up an interesting question. You're going to have an open house. When should you have it? My personal opinion is, if you're going to have it, you're typically going to have it on a weekend. I would say have it on a Sunday afternoon. Now, why is that? Well, because Saturdays, when my kids were little, Saturdays were when they had all of their ball games. And Saturday is going and running errands day. That's what Saturdays are for, is ball games and school events and going and running errands. So a typical family with kids are going to be busy on Saturday. But on Sunday, it's a much slower, more relaxed, laid-back day. Now, whether they go to church or not, let's say they go to church, and then after that they've gone to lunch, and so now around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they have some free time to go do whatever they want. I have always found that Sunday afternoons around 2 to 3 o'clock would be the best time to have an open house. So I have my open houses Sunday afternoons from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Doesn't need to be, really extended hours. 2 hours is fine for an open house, 3 hours if you want to do it, but typically you can get whatever you need to get done. People that are interested can find a time between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock to stop by and take a look at the house. So they found it on social media. Here's the other thing. When you're having an open house, your realtor needs to put out little open house signs. Pull it up on Google Maps, see exactly where your house is. The major thoroughfares, the major streets that lead into your subdivision, put a sign like on every major corner. It used to be you would use directional signs, like take a left here and there's an arrow pointing left, take a right here and there's an arrow pointing right. It's 2021. You don't need to do that anymore. All you got to do is just give them the address. They'll pop the address into their GPS on their phone, and their phone will take them right to your front doorstep. So you don't have to give directional signage anymore. Just tell them what the address is and they'll find it. But put it in the major thoroughfares where there's going to be a lot of traffic to pull in some of that street traffic. So you've advertised it, your realtor has advertised it, and they put out signs the day of. So do all that. Let's talk about the benefits and the drawbacks of an open house. The benefits would be, hey, wow, maybe we can show it to somebody who really wants to buy it. That would be the ideal dream, right? But by having an open house, you are going to have exposure for the house. People that normally wouldn't know about it or wouldn't see it could come and see it. So you might, you might find a buyer out of it. We're going to talk about some of this in a little bit more detail in a second. But you might find a buyer. So, but basically, you're exposing your house to the public. So that would be the benefits. Getting more traffic, and if it's not the right house for them, maybe they know a family member or a friend that would be looking in that area. You never know, man. You never know who might walk through that door. You never know. But just putting forth some effort and trying is better than nothing. All right. So just exposure would be really the number one benefit. What are the drawbacks? Well, in these COVID times, you're going to have a bunch of strangers walking through your house. Really? You're going to have a bunch of strangers walking through, touching all your stuff. Really? 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 Something to think about. It's number one. Number two, you might just have a lot of people who don't have anything to do between 2 and 4 o'clock on Sunday, and they're just going to come look at your house. They don't have 2 nickels to rub together, but they're just going to come look at your house because they like to look at pretty stuff. So you're going to have a lot of people that have no business being in your house. You're also going to have a ton of nosy neighbors. I've always been curious as to what the inside of this house looks like. Yeah, we live right down the street. We were always wondering, what did they ever do with their dining room? Again, they own the house down the street. They're not going to buy your house. They don't know anybody who wants to buy their house, just nosy neighbors. So you're going to get a lot of that as well. So that's some of the drawbacks. Let me tell you some inside realtor secrets about open houses. Okay? The real truth behind open houses is it's a way for the realtor to make the seller think that you're really working hard to get their house sold. I'm working so hard to get your house sold, I'm going to give up my Sunday afternoon and we're going to have an open house. So it's a way to kind of appease the sellers and make them think you're working hard to get their house sold. By the way, in the fall, Sunday afternoons, if the Cowboys are having a decent season, you would be surprised how that will impact the attendance of your open houses negatively. If the Cowboys are having a good year, which they happen to be having now, everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, but a large percentage of the people in the Metroplex are going to be glued to their television sets. They're not going to an open house. My wife probably would, but most people aren't. So anyway, you, believe it or not, you actually have to kind of, if you're going to have in the fall, if you're going to have an open house on a Sunday afternoon, you kind of need to pay attention to what the Cowboys schedule is and have it before or have it after or whatever. But that actually, believe it or not, is a factor in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So number one, realtors do it to appease the sellers, to make the sellers think that they're really working hard to get their house sold. The other reason why realtors would be willing to have an open house is because they're going to meet a lot of buyers that are out actively looking for houses, and they're going to get a ton of buyer prospects. So they're not going to buy your house, but they might go buy another house. And so it's a great way for realtors to get a bunch of buyer leads. So it benefits the realtor, it doesn't benefit the seller. But again, that's just kind of a realtor secret. Here's the other thing. Studies have been done, and studies say that out of 100 open houses, only one buyer actually came to an open house and ended up buying that house. 1 out of 100. Now, that doesn't sound right to me. I think it's better than that. And I have actually sold houses as a direct result of an open house. I have actually sold houses where I had an open house and the buyer came to see it and the buyer fell in love with it and the buyer had their realtor contact me the next day on Monday, and they wrote up a contract, and here we go. So it happens. Absolutely, it happens. An open house can help you sell your house. Yes. Studies say it's 1 out of 100. It's got to be better than that, but maybe 1 out of 50. The odds still are not great. Either they're just plain, they're tire kickers, they're nosy neighbors, they just like to go look at pretty things, they don't have 2 nickels to rub together, they seriously are looking for a house, but your house is not a fit at all for what they're wanting. So there's a lot of reasons why having an open house, you're not going to sell it to the actual person that comes walking through. The odds are not great. But again, realtors do it to just kind of appease the sellers. So, hope this helps. That's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the truth and the secrets about open houses. I wish you the best of luck. If I can do anything to be of help, if you're thinking about putting your house on the market, I'd love to stop by. You can give me the 10-cent tour. I'll bring you some information. I'll do a market study, a real market study done by me, a human, not some algorithm out of New York. And I'll tell you what I really truly believe your house could sell for. Buy houses that have sold in your exact subdivision, apples to apples in your exact area, and let's chat about it. So anyway, anything I can do to help you, feel free to reach out to me. Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty, 214-649-4528, 214-649-4528.